to record. Hey, Tristan, so you're going to be letting people in? Is that the plan? Hey, Tristan. Are you going to be letting people in?
Yeah, I can start whenever you're ready. You want me to start letting them in?
Hold on a second. Let me just make this as a slideshow, I guess. Let them simmer.
Are you ready to go live on there, on your end?
What do you mean live? I am live.
On Facebook?
Oh, okay, Facebook.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Where are we going live on Facebook?
Best Agents Home.
It says public, friends only me.
Oh no, go to timeline. Click show you're on your timeline on that tab.
Timeline.
See where it says choose where to post your Zoom meeting? It's right above the public.
Oh, right
yeah,
here.
and then you share it to
bad.
group. Yeah, and then Best Agents Home. I would just type it.
Are we doing Best Agents Home or we're doing Become Best Agent?
Best Agents Home is what we usually do, and I'm going to offer the recording in the Become Best Agent group to grab some emails.
Okay. Boom, 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 boom.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I think so. It's not my first rodeo.
All right, I'm gonna let everyone in.
You're actually a pro now, man. You're doing them every single week. You're doing them more than I did. Right? If you think about it. Down, 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 down. All right. How's my makeup?
You look wonderful.
I look wonderful. Man, it took me about 45 minutes to get ready. I tell you. Am I on mute? Oh, no, I'm not. Great. Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing?
Morning.
Good morning, Melissa Esparza. Good morning, Linda. Eddie, good morning. Eddie, what's going on with your hair, man? It's all messed up. Did you just wake up or something?
No, I haven't done my hair today.
Oh, you haven't done your hair today, man. Wow. For me, getting done is just brushing it backwards. That's me. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's getting it done and all of that stuff, but it's pretty impressive. Sandy, good morning. Elvis is in the building. Good morning, Elvis. You got Jessica, good morning. Sergio, good morning. Christina, good morning. Pamela Knox, good morning. Natalie's phone. Natalie, good morning. Amisha, good morning. David, good morning. Jessica's iPhone, good morning. Herb the third.
Good
What's
morning,
up, buddy? How you doing? All right. Good morning.
Right. Good morning.
Good morning. Who else we got there? Who else we got there? All right. Hey, I want to see all of your faces. Can we see all of your faces today? Is that possible? Is that doable? No one's got to be shy. We're on real estate. Let's see everyone's faces. I see Linda's face. I see Sandy's face. I see Elvis's. What else we got there? All right. I see a Rachel. Rachel, good morning. Love that background. Is that a real background or is it's just a picture? What is it?
It's just a picture.
Just a picture. Okay, because I know you just moved into your new home, so I don't know.
Yep.
All fully furnished already. All right. Who else we got? David, good to see you. All right, guys. So who's really want to learn how to like get at least one listing a month? Who wants to get one listing a month?
Me.
Okay, and it's not one of those listings where you got to kind of be constantly chasing. They're actually going to like reach out to you. They call you up and say, you know what? I want you to list my home. And they're not talking about the commissions. They're not talking about or asking you why, I should go with you versus like 10 other agents or any of that stuff. Like this is like, come list me type of an appointment. Who wants to build that type of a business, guys? Please raise your hands. If you're not raising your hands, please like do something else. Go chase buyers. With all due respect to buyers. And I love buyers. Don't get me wrong. I love buyers, but I got allergies when it comes to buyers, right? I love listings. Listings is the name of the game. If you want to last in this business, if you want to make a lot of money in this business, if you want to keep your sanity in check in this business, I suggest, and this is in my humble personal opinion, work with the sellers as much as possible, okay? So today's class, and this is going to be a deep class, I have about 30 slides for you guys to share. It's everything that you got to know and do when it comes to geofarming, the neighborhood, all right, the subdivision, the zip code. I mean, the entire city, if you choose to, if you live in a very small city, right? But this is going to be, I want you guys to take notes, lots of notes, step-by-step instructions on how you can launch your farm, okay? Or if you're currently farming, how you can really kind of take it to the next level, okay? So who's excited? I can't hear anyone. Please unmute yourselves. Please let me know who's excited, because if you guys are not excited, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I'm super excited about class. I came this morning at 8 o'clock. I was like, you know what? I feel so good about it today. And Melissa's like, well, what happened? Did you win a lottery? I said, no, I'm actually teaching a workshop on one of my favorite topics, which is farming, okay? It really, really changed my business. I'll share it with you guys, everything that I know. And I think it's going to be a huge, huge, huge benefit to you guys in your business progression. So let's start. Tristan, do we start or do we wait for another 40,000 people to show up?
I think we're good.
Okay, we're good. All right. Okay, guys. So for the people here that don't know me or haven't really done any homework on me or think that I'm full of it, I just want to kind of share a quick background about myself, guys. It'll literally take 2 minutes, if that. So got licensed back in 2013 as a brand new agent. Obviously, being a brand new agent is no fun. The first 6 months, I did not close one single deal. In fact, after about a couple of months, I was already panicking because my bills were like piling up. My daycare bill alone was $2,100 a month. My mortgage was another $2,000 a month. My two car payments were $1,000. So $5,000, that's not including food, that's not including clothes or anything like that, going out every single month, and I was not making any money. So for me, it was all about, all right, I got to be able to close at least one deal, one deal, one deal, one deal. And the biggest thing for me, the key takeaway from that point of time is the fact that I have family, 3 kids, my wife depended on me, my kids depended on me. There were people that are basically looking at me saying, oh, this guy is going to probably fail because he's a real estate agent. And every day I would get up and I would go out there and I tried to get listing business. That's what I tried to do. So first 5 to 6 months, I didn't close any deals, but I was able to learn quite a bit. I was able to start building my foundation and more importantly, started building a pipeline of seller leads. The last 6 months of the year, I sold 16 homes. Year number 2 and number 3, year number 2, doubled my production, 35. Again, majority of those homes were listings. Year number 3, 75 homes. Again, probably about 75 to 80% of those transactions were listings as well. In 2016, I started building a team. So for about 3.5, 4 years, I had a team, Allen K Group. And then 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago, we opened up our own brokerage, Best Homes Real Estate. And since then, we added probably about 200 or so agents into the company. We closed to 800 or so, 890 units, over $300 million in sales, and paid out over $7 million in gross commission income to our agents. Super excited about that. In the meantime, also, we started our own mortgage company, as well as recently, about a month and a half ago, our title JV deal with Magnus Title. So super excited to share that with you guys. And let's go on. Continue. So why do we want more listings, guys? What's the reason? What's the number one reason why we want listings?
Money.
And this is, by the way, interactive class. So you know, this is not me talking about it. It's about you guys participating. Why do we want to have more listings?
In addition to the money, I think if the more listings you have, the more freedom you have to go do other things. Whereas with buyers, you're tied up and bogged down for so much of your time.
Absolutely.
Also, Alan.
Yes, ma'am.
Your exposure is just like intensified a whole lot more when you have listings. You have a lot more exposure.
Love it. What else?
You have a better certainty of actually closing, whereas with buyers, especially in this market, I mean, you could put offers in on 60 houses and not be able to close on anything. But if you get one good listing, you know, you could be seeing a paycheck in 30, 45 days.
That's right. All right. Any other reasons why you want to be a listing agent?
Also, it's a really good marketing tool. You can advertise it, have a sign in front of the yard, good advertising point.
Absolutely. You can leverage, right? For me, listings equals leverage, right? And you guys mentioned everything the way you can leverage. You can leverage through time. You spend much less time working with the seller, especially nowadays, versus working with a buyer, right? You can take a listing and there's a good chance that that seller is also going to be your buyer. So now you have 2 transactions versus 1. You put a sign outside, there's going to be a good likelihood that you're going to be getting phone calls from that sign. And those phone calls can become, your leads and ultimately would lead to closings. You can promote and brand yourself in the neighborhood by doing open houses, for example, right? So you can generate some business out of that as well as an opportunity there, right? And ultimately, if you think about it, right? You can generate, and I had these instances before, from one listing, you can generate 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 transaction from one single listing. You cannot, unfortunately, do that with a buyer, unless, of course, you find this buyer who really likes your service, and then he refers you to another person, refers you to another person, and refers you to another person. With the listing, if you leverage it correctly, if you promote it, right, if you spend time actually working that listing, okay, you can generate additional business out of it. And that's what I love about it. The way I was able to come across the listing business, if you will, is I read a book, and you guys can pick up that book. It's been written probably 20 years ago, 17, 18 years ago by Gary Keller. He's the founder of Keller Williams. And the biggest takeaway from that book, in my case, was the fact that everything starts with the seller leads. When you have seller leads, you will have listings. And when you have listings, you're going to have ultimate leverage. You will find buyers if you have sellers. Actually, buyers will find you when you have listings. How many of you guys had listings, you had a sign outside, and you would get buyer calls? Raise your hand. Most of us, right? How many of you guys had a listing, you held an open house, and you had 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 15, 20, 30 buyers that show up? Most of us, right? So you got a listing, you're going to get buyers. That's by default. Okay? So always for me, it was like, wait a minute. So if I can get a listing, that means I'm spending less time on that listing. That means I can get buyers from my listing. That means I can get more sellers from that listing. And I'm pretty much paying the same, getting the same amount of commission check that I would get working with a buyer. Why not focus on the listings? Okay. So that was the big aha moment for me, guys, when I just got into the real estate. And for me, from day one, it was all about looking for listings. So when I got into the real estate, I was like, okay, where can I find these listings, right? There's so many different areas that you can focus on as an agent. For instance, a lot of us work with our sphere, right? So sphere is one of the lead sources that you can concentrate on. Then, of course, we got farming, and that's something that we're going to be touching on today. We have expired and canceled listings. When I started in this business 9 years ago, there were a lot more expired, canceled listings as well as for sale by owners. So for me, that's really what I was focusing from day one. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be spending that much money, right? I don't have to spend money on the prints. I don't have to spend money on social media. I can generate these expired and canceled contacts every single day. They're not even leads. Let's say they're contacts. And I can reach out to them and offer my services. So really, that was my focus for the first 2.5, almost 3 years in the business. Okay. Same thing with for sale by owners. For sale by owners is low hanging fruit. You can find a for sale by owner right now outside by driving, by seeing a for sale by owner sign, or you can go on places like Zillow and you can get a for sale by owner number, their name. You can call them. You can have a conversation with them. And there's a chance you can get a listing out of it. I've done it many times. We have agents here in the brokerage that do it regularly. You can get some listing business from online leads. You know, we help our agents, some of our agents, with the seller leads. Well, one of the key things that we offer is find out how much your house is worth or how much my house is worth. So we get some business out of that as well. Some of the buyers out there, especially from the buyer leads, will also going to be sellers. Okay, about 30 to 35% of the buyers are also have to sell their house before they can buy the next one. Pre-foreclosure, that's something that is becoming to heat up again because you're having more and more people getting into debt. The interest rates are going up. The credit card interest rates are going up, right? So we're seeing more and more pre-foreclosures. Okay, that's another area that you may want to start focusing right now going forward. Door knocking. We have agents that door knock and generate seller leads and list homes from door knocking. Open houses. This is a huge source of listing opportunities. And I'll share with you exactly how you can leverage your listings to generate seller leads and get those listings up and running. Radio and TV ads. That's another way. There are agents out there that want to do it. It's very expensive. There are some agents that are very successful at it. Okay, but you know, you can definitely get some business out of it as well. Working with investors and flippers, we have agents that are working with investors and flippers. They find them a home. The investor converts or remodels that property and then uses the agent to list the house. One of our agents is Susan Olivera. That's what she does. Working with home builders, custom home builders, circle prospecting. That's another way of generating listing business. And then, of course, you have the social media platforms that you can definitely utilize as well. So as you can see, there are many different ways of you can generate business. I'm not sitting here or standing here and saying, don't do this, don't do that. Ultimately, it's your decision. Today, we're going to be focusing on geofarming, right? And I've done that for about 3.5, 4 years in my business. And for me, it was a game changer. And I'm going to show it to you exactly what I have done. Okay, guys, so what is geofarming? Who can tell me what is geofarming?
A specific area.
Okay, specific area. Okay. What are we doing with that area?
Prospecting around a specific area on a consistent basis.
So we're prospecting around that area on a specific basis. Okay, very well. I love that. So this is the definition of a geofarming, right? It's a proven method of marketing your real estate business. In other words, marketing your services to a neighborhood or local proximity in a way that raises awareness of your brand, the way you capture the leads, you earn referrals, and gain listings. That's farming. It's a combination of marketing, it's a combination of branding, it's a combination of messaging, and it's really all of those things combined. And the geofarming is something that has been done for many, many, many years. There are agents right now, unfortunately, feel like this is not something that works, or people no longer checking their mail, or people no longer read the prints or anything like that. I have to disagree with that statement. I think there's an opportunity there, but it has to be a combination of many different things, which I will share with you today. Okay? So this is my geofarming story, guys. This is kind of a little background in terms of how I was able to get this thing off the ground back in 2016. So that was my third year in business. And to be honest with you guys, for full transparency, I was sick and tired. I was sick and tired of chasing business. For the first 3 years in real estate, I was chasing business. 3 years calling expired listings, cancel listings, for sale by owners. I would get in the office at 7 o'clock in the morning, and at around 7:30, 7:45, or 8 o'clock, I would be on the phones for hours and hours and hours and hours a day. And I don't know if you ever tried cold calling people, especially the sellers that had their house on a market for months and months and months and months, and it did not sell, and now they're upset. And on top of it, you're calling them, and now they're really upset, right? You're getting a lot of rejection. You get a lot of pissed people, all right? You get a lot of people that are basically saying, you know what, F off, right? They're not happy. Now, for me, that was the only way to get into the listing business. It was the most affordable way for me to get into the listing business, and the most predictable way of getting into the listing business, because I knew if I call X number of people per day, most likely I'm going to have X number of conversations. And based on those conversations, I will have 1 or 2 or 3 appointments scheduled. I was able to control that piece. So for me, that was the key. If I didn't make any phone calls, I didn't have any conversations. If I didn't have any conversations, I would not book any appointments. If I would not have any book appointments, I would not have the opportunity to go and meet with the sellers and have a shot of getting that listing. So that's what I really liked about that model, was the fact that I was able to predict exactly what will happen if I do this every single day. The challenge with that model is the fact that it's not the most sexiest thing in the world to do. It's very tiring. You're chasing business, right? You're getting rejections left and right. And then, of course, when you're going out there and you're meeting with a seller, you're competing with 4, 5, 6, 7 other agents. And I was getting really, really tired of that. I remember one year, I think it was one of the last years, on the first day of the new year, January 1st, we get a list of a lot of expireds and cancels, right? Because a lot of agents, what they do when they pick up a listing, for some reason, I don't know if it's the laziness, I don't know what the reason is, they would expire the listing on December 31st, 2019 or 2018 or 17, right? So on the first of each year, you would get 250, 300, 400 expired listings that would come out. And I would show up on the first of each year for like 3 or 4 years. And I would call for hours and hours and hours. And I would book like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 appointments. And I remember one of those years, one of the last years, where I had to basically cancel all my plans the night before because I had to wake up early in the morning. My wife was upset. My family was not happy. I showed up the next day. I made phone calls. I booked appointments. And I went to every appointment. And every appointment that I went to, they decided to go already with another agent. So for me, I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired of chasing business. I got to change things up. That's when the farming started. That was back in 2016. Now, I decided to go with an area, my primary area, where there was an agent and there were a few other agents that had about 40% of the market share. I'm not advising you to do that, guys. And I will go into the data a little bit more in next slides or two. Ideally, you want to be in less than 10% of market share when it comes to the opposing agent or competing agent. I decided to choose an area that I really enjoyed working at. I really enjoyed showing homes in that area. And I feel like, you know what, if I become an expert in that neighborhood, I will enjoy selling those properties. So I decided to go with that area. For the first 6 months, I did not get any type of traction at all. 0 phone calls, 0 website visits, no emails, nothing. For 6 months, I was spending money. I was not getting anything in return. But after 6 months, that's when I started generating some phone calls, some leads. And by the end of the year, I generated over $90,000 in gross commission income. Now, I spent a lot of money that first year, and a lot of things that I did were wrong, but I still was able to make about $90,000 the first year. From 2017 to 2020, I made over $800,000 in gross commission income in my farm. Now, it was a combination of postcards. We did the newspapers the first couple of years. We did the digital farming through social media platforms, community outreach, movie at the park, and then, of course, our exclusive neighborhood open houses on the new listings. Now, I'm sharing this with you guys, and I'm going to actually confirm this with you, if you allow me, by showing you exactly my farm. And I'll show you the production that I was able to generate in that farm. So if you look right here, that's from 2017 to December 2021. That's when I stopped my farm, essentially, okay? I'm gonna choose my name. Right here. And this is my farm area, which is Arrowhead Ranch, Arrowhead Lakes. Okay. These are all the properties that I've sold. And if you look at the sales volume, it was a little bit over $25 million. With a 3% commission, we're looking at around $800,000 in gross commission income from 2017 to 2021. $800,000 in gross commission income in my farm neighborhood. So I'm showing you guys to let you know that it's all doable. It all can be done. Anybody can do it. And by the way, if you farm right now, you can probably generate more because the sales price has been going up on average about 10 to 15% year over year. Okay. But for me at that point, my average commission check was at around $13,000. Now, in the same neighborhood, probably the average commission check is about $15,000, $16,000, $17,000. Okay. Any questions about the slide, guys? All right.
Ellen?
Yes, Pamela.
Can you define neighborhood newspaper, please? Is that just the advertising in the neighborhood newspaper? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you the neighborhood newspaper. Let me see if I have one right here. So this was my neighborhood newspaper. There's actually a company that will do this for you. They will do the entire newspaper, right, with your information on it. And I think it's a 12-page newspaper. And they put content here. They can put like mortgage paid off, now what? 10 ways to secure your home while on vacation. You can bring on ads from other vendors in here. At that time, it was costing me about 50 or 55 cents per newspaper. So I would mail this out once a month. And you see, like everywhere we got our tracking numbers here with 800 numbers and everything like that. There's a coloring contest that we used to get like 5, 6, 7, 8 of them a month, and we would have announced the winner and send them a gift, like congratulations. So we get that. There's a crossword puzzle. So the mortgage company that I work with, and then all of my past sales. So this newspaper would go out once a month, and I would get on average about 4 to 5 phone calls a month from the homeowners from this newspaper. Now, would this newspaper work right now? Depends. If your demographics or the homeowners in your subdivision or the area that you're farming are maybe in their 50s or 60s, there's a good chance they're still reading newspapers. If you're in a younger crowd, right? If let's say, you're a working family, maybe younger family, maybe in their 30s or something like that, probably it's not going to have the same type of effect. So kind of keep that in mind, guys. So that's the newspaper, Pam, that we're at. Okay. So there are 4 key pillars to farming. Okay. I think a lot of times we have this misconception when it comes to farming. And I think having conversations with the agents in the last few years, they think farming, it's all about print media. They're thinking, okay, I'm just going to send postcards. I'm going to start door hangers. And that's pretty much it. The challenge with that is the fact that it's only one way of getting in touch with the homeowners. Farming has 3 legs, actually 4 legs. 4 legs or 4 key pillars. Print media, digital media, open houses, as well as community outreach. Those are the 4 areas that you have to be constantly working on. That's the piece of the puzzle, if you will. All of those pieces together work like magic. If you start missing on one of these or you don't do them consistently, it's just not going to have the same type of effect. So when you're going to be farming, make sure you're going to be able to do all of these combined. Okay? So let's start with the print media. Print media, we have postcards, we have door hangers, we have letters with handwritten envelopes. So letters stuffed in handwritten envelopes. And then, of course, we have the newsletters or newspapers. Now, you can have other things. You can have other flyers or anything like that. But essentially, that's really going to be your print media. On occasion, here and there, you can have like quarterly newsletters where you have the market update with all the homes that have currently on the market or sold or under contract. You can do that. But these are the 4 that I used to send on a regular basis. Okay. Let me show you some of the samples I showed you right now the newspaper sample. Let me show you right now. Let me see if I can get you. This was my postcard sample. Okay. So this was the front or a back. Okay. It's two-sided. On one side, you have the pictures of the house. You're going to have some sort of a messaging here, right? You're going to have a message that says, like, in my situation, it was after 9 months with the previous agent, and in reality, it was on a market with the previous agent for 9 months. We were able to sell this house in Arrowhead Lakes. Okay. And then I would have things like unique selling propositions, guaranteed offers within 48 hours or less. This is the site where you can get a guarantee offer. Okay. To discuss the sale of your home, call the L&K Group at 623-500-6181. This is going to be a unique number that is trackable. Or get our free 200-step seller guide that details our exclusive offers. This website is trackable. This website, you find out how much your house is worth. That's trackable. We have a menu of services, commission structures that will fit your circumstances, right? So as you can see, it's not just, oh, this is another one. Your home sold at 100% of your asking price guaranteed, or you'll be paid the difference, okay? It's not just, hey, look at me, look at the house, here's my phone number, call me. You can see there are a lot of call to action and unique selling propositions here. Again, this is an older postcard. Some of the unique selling proposition right now, or most of it probably will not work, but I'm going to share with you what's currently working for us and our agents, okay? But this is an example of the postcard that I use religiously for about 4 years, religiously. And in fact, I would go on my listing appointments and I see homeowners stashing or keeping like 10 of them, 11 of them, or 12 of them next to their kitchen table. They would just collect them. They are big, they are colorful, there's a lot of information here, not for everyone, but guess what? My phone would ring every single week. And it would start with, hey, can you tell me a little bit about your guarantee? Hey, can you explain to me your selling it 100% of the asking price, or you paid us the difference, how that works, right? They would call me because of this. They would call me because of that. And that's exactly why we are using unique selling propositions or call to action items. So this way they pick up the phone and call you. They can also go on my website and download our 200-step seller guide. Well, guess what? When they download it, it will prompt them to put their information, including their home address. I use that as a lead. I call them, I find out more about their information, more about their plans, schedule a meeting, or put them on some sort of a drip. So when you're putting together these samples, guys, make sure that, again, they're thought out, right? And the fact that you guys make sure that you put different type of unique selling propositions, which I'll show you in a later slide. I have them. Another thing that worked for me are letters. Okay, and let me show you the letter that I used. Okay, to generate additional business. So you can send this to your farm, or you can send this to any neighborhood where you or your brokerage recently sold a house. Okay? The key thing to remember is make sure the envelope, the actual envelope, is handwritten. Because the likelihood of them opening up that envelope is much higher or greater than just a regular run-of-the-mill envelope or a postcard they're going to get. The key here is that it has to be handwritten. and they got to open it and they got to read it. So here's what it says. Very simple. Hi, John. We recently sold a house in your neighborhood on 1234 East Main Street in less than 3 days and for $30,000 above the listing price. We still have 2 super qualified buyers whose offers were not accepted, and they're still actively looking for a home in your neighborhood. They're not looking to steal a house. They're willing to pay a top price for your house, give you up to 60 days to find your next home. No showings, no showing to random buyers, and they will not ask for any repairs. Have you considered selling your home? Please call me or text me 623-261-1866. That's it. You put that inside of the envelope, and you mail it to your farm. You mail it to any other area where you have active buyers looking to buy, or you want to farm a specific neighborhood.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
Quick question, maybe a silly one, but when you're sending that out, what are you putting for the return address, or do you put anything?
The return address, you can put our office address, or you can put your personal address. It's completely up to you. I used to put an office address. You know, I would put Alan Kushmakov, 21448 North 75th Avenue, suite number 2, Glendale, Arizona, 85308.
Okay, but you're not putting best homes on it, is what I was trying to get at, because
Correct.
That might scare folks away and not even open it.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
So, and you can put your personal address. That's perfectly fine if you wanted to. And I've done that as well. But the key thing to remember is the fact that it has to be handwritten envelope. If it's not handwritten envelope, the chances of them opening that is really going to be minimal. It's like the same thing with the postcards. Over 99% of these postcards, most likely 99.5% of those postcards end up in the trash, literally within 5 seconds. But here's what counts. What counts is the fact that for those 5 seconds, they were able to see your face, read your unique selling proposition, your website address, and the property that you recently sold. And now you planted a seed. Keep in mind, folks, most of those homeowners are not in the market to sell or buy. I would say probably over 90+% of them are not. But guess what? Plans change, situations change, things happen. And you're doing this long-term. This is a long-term opportunity here, folks. So as long as they're receiving things from you on a regular basis, eventually there's going to be a need for them to contact a realtor. If they're seeing your stuff every other week, if they're seeing your stuff outside when you're doing open houses, when they're seeing your signs, when they're seeing you on social media, there's a good chance they're going to call you. Now, is it guaranteed? No. But again, I'd rather have them, I don't know, get 1 phone call a month or 2 phone calls a month for my farm and get 1 listing out of it. And that listing becomes a $15,000 or $17,000 or $20,000 commission check. And then they're also looking to buy. That can be another $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 commission check. And then you hold an open house or 2 or 3. That can be an additional commission check or 2. Or I just say, hey, you know what? Nobody's calling me or nobody needs my services. There's another agent or 2. Doesn't really matter. So this works, but you got to be super consistent about it.
So Alan, I have a few questions. So regarding the newspaper that you were talking about, how you have that delivered, and maybe we can talk, I would like to talk a few numbers about that, like how many properties you had in your map and statistics on that. I mean, if you send, let's say you send 5,000, not 5,000, but 1,000 postcards, how many people are responding out of that? I mean, you said 90% they're not selling, they're not buying, but out of 1,000, there's a number over there. So first one is how you had that newspaper delivered through the postal office. How was the process in order to, have it delivered?
Yeah, so the newspaper was delivered directly from the print shop.
I see. Okay.
They will mail that using every door direct mail, and that would go out once a month. So I would provide the data, the things to put into that newspaper. I usually would put things like, again, my sponsors. I would put things that have sold last month. I would change up my selling propositions, my call to action. It literally would take me maybe about half an hour to update all of that stuff. I would send all those details. That would send me a proof. If something is wrong, I would, give them my suggestions and correction. They'll send another one. And then within a week and a half to 2 weeks, they'll mail that out to my farm area. Okay.
How many properties you had in your farm?
So I started with about 950, and then gradually went up to 5,400.
Oh, that's a big increase.
5,400, right. So for me, it was all about, all right, I'm making money, let me reinvest. I'm making money, let me reinvest. I'm making money, let me reinvest, right? But you definitely want to start with at least 1,000 homes. And the reason being is because you got to think about the turnover rate. And that's another thing that I'm going to go over this with you in the later slides, is you got to look at each neighborhood a little bit differently. And there are certain things or certain measurables you have to take into the consideration when you're choosing a neighborhood. Okay. But I started with about 1,000. After about a year, it went up to about 2,500, 3,000. And then after about 6 months, 8 months, we went to about 50, 54, 5,500 homes.
And statistics about all that?
The statistics are, I tell you what, I mean, I haven't farmed for a couple of years, almost 2.5 years now, but there are weeks I would get 3, 4 phone calls, 5 phone calls. And there are also weeks that I would maybe get like maybe 0, right? But on average, I would list anywhere between, I would say, 1 to 2 homes every single month on average. On average. So I would spend, realistically speaking, on the print media and on the prints themselves, I would spend on average about $2,500, $3,000 a month. And I would close at least one deal a month that would generate me about $13,000, $14,000 in a commission check. Directly from the farm. That's not including them buying another house. That's not including the sign calls. That's not including me conducting open houses and generating other business. So I would say on average, I would probably make about $25,000 to $30,000 from $2,500, $3,000 that I would spend.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. So these are the call to action or USPs that you can apply in today's market. Okay. So one of the things that we get right now, especially working with the sellers, are looking to also buy, and they have to sell their house. I had a seller situation a few months back where they're like, look, Alan, we want to get into a house where I have more property. There's no HOA. There's a side gate, an RV gate where we can park our trailer, like all of that stuff that they were not getting in their current house, which was a gated community, but a smaller backyard, HOA restrictions, and all of that stuff. Their house was worth about 700 and change. They wanted to spend about 700 and change in a different part of the valley, but they were not able to qualify for 2 mortgages. But they were also not comfortable with putting their house on a market, getting it sold, and then finding the house of their dreams. They were just not comfortable with that scenario. So I was able to connect them with the company called Knock right here. Okay. And the cool thing about them is the fact that what they do is they will actually lend you the down payment money, 20%, and pre-approve you for a mortgage. So this way you can go out there, you can shop for a home without a contingency and have the funds, again, 20% to put down for your next home. So we were able to do that. We were able to find them a house, get them under contract, close on that house, and then put their house on the market and getting that sold. And what they charge, I believe it's about 1 or 1.5% fee on the closing of the house. That's it. So it was about $9.5 or $10,000. But the process was very smooth. We were able to close in 30 days. You know, this is the company that I used, and my clients were super happy about it. Another company that reached out to us recently was Homeward, I believe. That's another company that you may want to consider. Do some research on them. But if you do have sellers that are like, hey, you know what? I really want to buy something. I really want to move, but I'm just concerned. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to be in a position where I have to sell my house and then I cannot find anything. I can get myself on a contract. And now I got to rent for a month or 2 or 3. This can be a really, really good solution. Okay. So that's one of the USPs that you can put in your postcards is buy your home first and then sell after you move in. Okay. Another thing that works great right now is cash offers in 24 hours or sell it for free. In those situations, there are a couple of iBuyers that will do that. They will generate a cash offer for you. Guys, you can present that cash offer to the seller and see if they're willing to sell their property directly to the iBuyer. If you do that, most of the iBuyers will pay you a 1% referral fee. Guaranteed offers within 24 hours, the same setup, working with the iBuyers or the investors. Sell your home, get top dollar, and stay up to 60 days for free. That's negotiating with the buyer and the buyer's agent and offering post-possession to the seller. Variations of flat fees. Flat fees, we have some agents that use flat fee system with a la carte service and marketing packages. So let's say the flat fee starts at $2,000 or $2,500. But if let's say they want professional photography, it's an additional $500. If they want it to be on certain websites, an additional couple of $100. And it can range again from $2,500 upwards to $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000. That's another way of generating business right now. Another thing that works is, hey, no commission if you sell it yourself. I used to run this program primarily with for sale by owners because for sale by owners, their goal is to save money on the commissions. They want to sell it themselves. So I would approach a for sale by owner and say, hey, you know, let's make this deal happen. You can still continue to market your home. In fact, you can have your sign outside in addition to my sign. If you find a buyer, you sell the house. You don't pay me commission, but if you still want me to represent you, my let's say a transaction fee is $1,500 or $2,500 or $3,000, depending on the purchase price of the house. I used to get a lot of listings that way. Oh, by the way, most of the time for sale by owners would not sell it on their own. Most of the time they would be relieved and they would remove their sign and let you do the work. So keep that in mind. So don't be afraid to offer that service. And then of course, another one is, hey, no showings. We're not going to show your home. We're just going to do maybe 1 or 2 open houses on the weekends. And we're going to get all of the buyers. We're going to get all of the agents with the buyers and try to get you as many offers as possible. So be creative, right? Offer something that would resonate with the group of people you're going to be working with the neighborhood that you're going to be working with. But you guys have to have these. You cannot just send postcards with information on it, with your name and everything like that, and expect for you to get any type of leads or calls. Okay? Any questions about this, guys? No questions. What do you guys think?
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, Elvis, go ahead. It's Elvis' show. Let's go, buddy.
All right. So I started working with some investors, but at the same time, I have some wholesalers. So I'm trying to put them together, and I don't know if this thing, the iBuyers that you tell me, that might work for them, because the wholesalers, they have a $5,000 non-refundable fee in order to see the house. And I don't know if the iBuyers, they might cover that. So I'm just asking a question because you work with them.
If they're not going to cover what, I'm sorry?
No, it's, as I said, I'm in the middle between some investors and some wholesalers. The wholesalers, they have their own, the old thing, the way they sell their own, properties. And there is a $5,000 non-refundable fee. They don't care in order for them to show you the house. So I wonder if this program iBuyers, because one of my investors said, you know what, I'm not going to pay $5,000. They're okay. I'm just going to go stop by in front of the property, take a look. But I wonder if this iBuyer program that you mentioned, or the other one, Knock and Homeward, it's something that I can recommend to them to use that.
I mean, it really depends. Yeah, I would see why not. I mean, if they have a property, and I'm not sure what their guidelines are when it comes to the wholesalers, to be honest with you. I'm talking about the iBuyers. I know they buy directly from the homeowner. I know they would pay a 1% referral fee. In fact, I had a good conversation with an agent last week where she's sending out two pre-foreclosure homeowners offers from Open Door. And she just mailing them, or she emailing them those offers. Those offers are usually valid for about 7 or 8 days. And she will usually, out of like 10 offers that she mails out or emails, she usually gets one that like calls her up and accepts the offer. Then she uploads the pictures and the video to the Open Door portal, and Open Door then sends their representative. They'll take the pictures from outside, see the house is standing and everything like that, write an offer. When the offer is accepted, the agent gets 1% referral fee.
Okay.
Not even listing the house.
Okay.
So right now, for instance, I would be focusing on pre-foreclosure data, not foreclosure data, pre-foreclosure data, because pre-foreclosure, they're kind of in early stages of this process, and you're trying to help them out, and they have a lot of equity in their house. Foreclosure is usually when they're just basically checked out. They're getting bombarded left and right with people, right? The creditors are calling them, emailing them, mailing them things and everything like that. They just don't want to deal with it. Pre-foreclosure, especially in the early stages of pre-foreclosure, is a place that you want to play right now. And utilize not only the Open Doors of the world, but also utilize the investors, the wholesalers. Ideally not the wholesalers, but the investors that are actually willing to pay good money for that house.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions about these unique selling propositions, guys? Okay. All right. Let's continue. How do you determine your farm area? Okay, that's a big question, and I get this question pretty frequently from the agents. So let me kind of give you a couple of things that I look for from my experience. And let's see. Okay. So let me go into. We pick a neighborhood. How about that, guys? Give me guys a neighborhood that you want to work in.
North Phoenix.
Okay, North Phoenix. Like, give me, I don't know, the zip code or
85027.
85032. Let's say
85032.
I'm sorry, 85032.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, 85032. Okay. This is the neighborhood, right? Okay, 85032 is huge, right, guys? I mean, it's big zip code. So let's start with the neighborhood. Let's start with the subdivision. Let's start with the area that you guys want to be focusing on.
Do the Cave Creek, around Cave Creek Road.
Cave Creek
The
Road?
other, yeah, on the other side. Yeah.
Okay, Cave Creek Road and what?
Bell.
Okay, so this area right here?
Sorry, let's do Cave Creek and Greenway. Actually, they have a lot more dots.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this neighborhood right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this area, this neighborhood, any specific neighborhood in here that you want to focus on?
Let's do Beck Lane.
The what lane?
East Beck Lane.
Beck Lane.
This right here, this area?
Yeah.
This is it, right? Okay, Beck Lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so how do we know how many homes we got here? We don't, right?
No.
We don't. Okay, so how do we find out?
Zoom in and start counting.
Doesn't it say view results too?
The what? I'm sorry.
Do you look at the view results where it says 2 on the?
These are active or coming soons.
I'm thinking either monsoon or reaching out to the title company to give them the specific area.
You can do that. Yeah, you can definitely do that. But let me show you how.
Is it EDDM? Yeah, and then
how I do it, and you guys can do exactly the same thing. How about that? And it's for free. All right, guys, what was that area again? Cave Creek and Beck, right?
It was on Cave Creek and Greenway, East Beck Lane.
So like in this area right here?
It's right there in the middle. Yeah.
Right here, yeah?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, awesome. So this is the neighborhood, right? So the cool thing about EDDM is the fact that it will actually allow you to set the neighborhood in the area and let you know how many residential homes in this section. Okay, how do you do that? Is you just click on it, it will highlight it. Okay, right here on the side, it will give you total mail pieces, 1,112. That means here you have about 1,112 homes in this area. Now, is it 100% accurate? Probably not, okay? But it's probably 90+% accurate, right? Are you okay with 90+?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you know you got 1,112 homes, right? Now, out of that, we're going to go back, okay? And now we need to know the turnover rate. The turnover rate is going to show us, you know, how many homes out of those 1,100 that are in this area, how many of them actually sell on a yearly basis? And the reason we want to know that is because if it's only, let's say, like 2% or 3%, that means for every 1,000 homes, there's only going to be about 20, possibly that 30 that go on the market every single year. That's not enough homes. Wouldn't you agree with me on that, guys?
Yes.
Right? Not enough homes, right? So we want to make sure that we at least ideally at around 5%. I know there are neighborhoods and subdivisions in the West Valley that are 8 or 9 or 10 or 15%. I remember I was looking at few years back in a subdivision in Buckeye, it's Sundance, where I think the turnover rate was close to like 14 or 15%. So for every 1,000 homes that you have, about 150 of them sell every single year, right? So for you, the first thing is obviously is to find out, what is the turnover rate is. But the way to do it is first find out how many homes are in this section. So we got about 1,100 homes. Now what we want to do is we want to go back in the last, and we can do it in the last 365 days, which is in the last year, and see how many homes have closed. Or you can say, you know what? I know last year it was tough because the market was tough. There's not enough inventory out there. The market is kind of balancing out just a bit. We're seeing a little bit more and more inventory. Again, you're projecting what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months versus what happened in the last 6 to 12 months in the past. Okay, so you say, well, you know what? Show me how many homes sold back in 2000 and let's say 2019 to 2020, end of 2020. And again, ultimately it's your decision, but I'm just going towards the more normalized market in the next 6 to 12 months from everything that I'm seeing. Okay, so do some. Okay. All right. So back in 2019, we had 20 homes that have sold in that neighborhood. Again, that's a 2% conversion rate, right? 2% turnover rate. In 2020, we had 15 homes that sold in that area. In 2021, with 33 homes that have sold in that neighborhood, right? So if you're going to be farming this neighborhood, and you're like, wait a minute, man, like in 2019, it was 20, 2020 was 15, COVID year, last year was 30. So let's say on average, it's about 20 homes out of 1,000 or 1,100. Do you think it's enough for you guys to generate enough business out of it?
No.
So think about it this way. Let's say, for example, on average, there are 20 homes that are sold out of 1,100. And let's say your market share is 10%. How many homes out of those 20 are you going to be able to sell on a yearly basis? So 20 homes, your market share is 10%. How many homes? Two. Your market share is 20%. How many homes? Four. Your market share is 30%, 6, right? You will start with about 5 to 10. Eventually, it will graduate maybe to 15 to 20. It takes time to get there. Maybe ultimately 30 to 40. That's a possibility. But if I were looking at this data, if I would be starting a farm, that's one place I would not go to, just because the fact that the turnover rate there is super low. We're looking at the turnover rate. Yeah.
Alan, let me ask you this. So I guess I almost look at that the opposite way, where that's an area of opportunity, because maybe other folks aren't farming it and people just don't even think about trying to sell. Or is that not the right way I should be thinking about those? I mean, obviously not, but
there's some truth to that. But I think when you're a seller, or you're a homeowner, or you got to sell, you're not going to be sitting and saying, well, I don't see any agents sending me things. Let me just sit and wait. You're going to reach out to the agent.
No, agreed. But I guess what I'm saying is, when you find those areas with higher turnover rates, then is that not more likely because there are more agents with a bigger market share?
Oh no, not at all. No. I don't look that way at all. I think you will see agents with a bigger market share when those agents have been around in that neighborhood for many years. And typically it's going to be one of those master plan communities or these really fancy, you know, neighborhoods, you know, where the average price points are going to be a little bit higher, for instance. You have a tendency of seeing more and more agents there that sell quite a bit. Usually in the other areas, you know, you're not going to see that much farming. And in fact, most of the agents right now, they don't farm. Like, I don't get anything in the mail. When is the last time you got something in the mail, guys?
Believe it or not, I get stuff all the time, so I stash it so I can steal some of their ideas to use for my farming area.
Right. But like, I honestly, in my neighborhood, the last time I got things was maybe about, I don't know, over a year ago.
Yeah,
me
the same
personally,
here.
we haven't got anything for the last couple of years.
I'm sorry?
Me personally, we from agents, we haven't got anything for the last couple of years.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is the fact that, you know, the agents are not going to be farming, or they start farming, they're not seeing results fast enough and they give up. Some of them give up because, again, they're not seeing results. Some of them give up because of lack of funding. You know, some of them give up because they have other things that are going on, right? Whatever that reason is, you're not seeing a lot of agents doing it consistently. The agents that are doing consistently, you know, they're definitely will get some results out of it, and some really, really good results out of it. But any questions in terms of, guys, determining what's the turnover rate is in a neighborhood that you guys want to farm or considering farming?
What is a good number?
Oh, 5%.
Okay.
5%. Let me see if there's a slide here. I don't know what happened to that slide. This is, oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Things to consider when choosing your farm. Turnover rate, 5%, ideally. So if you got 1,000 homes, you want to make sure that at least 50 of them go in a market every single year. Minimum number of homes is 1,000. Ideally, you want to focus on the higher price points for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons, it's to hedge against iBuyers, because as you know, most of the iBuyers, they have limits, right? How much they pay for the house, right? Like Open Door is not going to go into 85383 zip codes and spend $800,000 on a house. Okay, they have a limit. Another thing to look at is the fact that your mailing pieces, they cost the same whether you're sending it to the neighborhood that has $500,000 houses or $1 million houses. It costs the same. The postage or delivery service is going to cost the same. Holding open houses is going to cost the same. So if I were you, I would be focusing ideally in the neighborhoods that have higher price points versus the low price points or lower. Okay. Another key thing for me determining the farm area is ideally you want to know the neighborhood, or you live in that neighborhood, or you're going to actually enjoy selling in that neighborhood. Like, for instance, one of the areas that I was farming from day one was Arrowhead Lakes. Who's here familiar with Arrowhead Lakes? It's a beautiful community on the lakes. And the average price point at that time was over 500, I think 550 or 575. Well, I really wanted to sell in that neighborhood. I really enjoyed looking at those homes, showing those homes. But the challenge for me was there was a listing agent there that had about 40% of the market share. So for me, it was like, man, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So the more I started doing homework, I spoke to a couple of homeowners there. I held a couple of open houses for the other agents. Not everybody wanted to work with that agent. And that's something that you got to take into consideration. Pick an area also where you're essentially an opposite of what that agent is offering, or what you can offer to the client. But the biggest thing for me, honestly, was the fact that, hey, I know the turnover rate is pretty good, and I enjoy working in that neighborhood. I really enjoy working in that neighborhood because you're going to be investing in that neighborhood for many, many years to come, hopefully, and you want to enjoy doing the work there, right? And the key thing also to remember is your value proposition, right? How are you going to be able to differentiate yourself from the other agents that are marketing or farming that neighborhood? That's something you guys got to come up with. So for me, for example, that agent was not doing open houses on a consistent basis at all. That agent was doing like farming here and there, but most of it was word of mouth. That agent has been there for like 15 years or 20 years. She lived in that neighborhood. She essentially took that business for granted. And I said, I'll do all the opposite things. I'm going to hold multiple open houses. I'm going to put out multiple signs. I will do neighborhood exclusive open houses. I will bombard the neighborhood every single week. I will send out a postcard. I would call, I would invite, I would door knock. I would have a different unique selling propositions. I would be opposite of what she's all about. She's older, I'm younger. She's content, I'm much more hungry. So for me, those were the differentiating items or points, if you will, to get the traction going in that neighborhood. Okay, so pick the value proposition that you guys are going to be offering in the neighborhood that you're going to be farming. All right, guys, farming schedule for the print media. So for the new farm that you're starting, you want to definitely send something in the mail or delivered via delivery service, door to door, every single week for the first 10 to 12 weeks. That's a must. Like if you're trying to get your business off the ground, it's got to be done on a weekly basis. After you start getting some phone calls, hopefully you get a good or two leads out of it, maybe get a listing out of it. Okay, then you can change it to maybe one mailing every 2 weeks. But if you're not seeing any results, you got to figure this out. Okay, is my messaging speaking to them clearly? What are my unique selling propositions are saying, right? Like, how come I'm not getting phone calls? And by the way, like one thing that you guys have to do is you got to track all of your numbers. You got to track your phone numbers. That's very important. Don't put your cell phone number there. I mean, yes, it's convenient. The problem is you're not going to be able to answer your cell phone every single time. And you may miss a lead or two because you were not answering your phone. For me, every number in that newspaper, every number in my postcard was trackable. These are some of the tools that you can use, applications. Callfire is one of them, Ring Central, Dialog Tech. They all have the phone numbers available for you that you guys can use in your marketing pieces. Same thing with URL links, landing pages, social media links. Use Google Analytics for that to track the visitors. Use QR code on all of your print media pieces. That redirects them to the link tree with all of your information, links to your social media pages, links to your website, links to any information about what you're offering. So all of that has got to be part of your print media campaign. Every single piece that goes out there, like your door hanger should have a different phone number. Your postcard should have a different phone number. Your handwritten letter should have a different phone number. They're all going to have different phone numbers. Why? Because this way you know what's working, what's not. If you run these campaigns for the next 3 to 4 months, and you're getting primarily most of the phone calls from, let's say, your letters, guess what? Where do you want to spend now most of your time and money? On letters. But that's something that you guys got to definitely do. Treat it like a business. Track your numbers, track your phone numbers, track your links and URLs. Any questions, guys? I got a question for you guys. Who's still excited to do farming?
Wow.
It's a lot of work, huh?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, huh? But a lot of it initial work, right? Initial setup. But after that, most of it is going to be pretty much kind of like systemized and on autopilot, right? Like you don't need to recreate this every single time. Like most of your pieces, all you have to do pretty much is just update the pictures of the property that you sold, or maybe update or change the unique selling proposition. Everything else is pretty much going to be the same. And when you're using good vendors, like a print company, delivery company, like they're going to do it for you. They're going to actually print it for you. They're going to design it for you. They're going to mail it for you. They're going to deliver it for you. So you're not doing any of that stuff. I had companies that did that for me. So keep that in mind. Okay. Another most common question that I get is, how much is it going to cost me, or for how many months I should do this? Ideally, you want to have a 12-month reserves when it comes to farming, but at least 6 months. 6-month budget. You got to have them, guys. I see this a lot with the agents. They start very heavy. They spend so much time on putting together their marketing materials, everything ready to go. They start mailing them out. They start delivering them. After about a month and a half to 2 months, they're not really seeing that many leads or not seeing any results. They start pressing. They start thinking. They start overthinking. They start basically convincing themselves that it's not going to work for them. And after about 2.5, 3 months, they give up. Or it becomes very inconsistent. Like when they sell a house, they can now have some money to do the farming. And then they don't sell a house, they don't have the money, so they're not doing any farming. And because of that start, stop, it never really gets into gear. And because of that, you're not seeing the results. So if you're going to do farming, make sure you got the money for the next 6 months. That's very important. Okay. Let's continue, guys. The next pillar, all right, digital farming. So agents focus a lot, I believe, on either doing digital, not doing print enough, or doing print, especially older agents, and not doing enough digital farming. Digital farming is basically essentially doing farming only online, right? So I'm a huge believer in building a brand. Every agent in our company, all right, from day one, we talk about helping you guys to build your brand. Why? Because your brand is your number one currency. Your brand is your number one currency. I had a conversation with an agent yesterday. She's been in business for 6 years. For 6 years. And the business is up and down, up and down, up and down. She's like, Alan, I'm sick and tired of chasing people. I'm sick and tired of chasing clients. I want to build a brand. There's that old saying, right, guys? And I share this with you all the time, who's with this brokerage, right? Amateurs chase, professionals attract. Amateurs chase, professionals attract. So you got to be every single day, part of your business model, part of your daily routine, you got to be focusing on building and promoting your brand. With farming, it's branding, obviously, through print, through digital, community outreach, and open houses. So this one is going to be digital, guys. One thing that I always tell to my agents is the fact that don't forget that people that are going to work with you, planning to work with you, they're going to do a research on you. They're going to Google you. They're going to see you, what's going on Google, how many reviews you got. They want to see your picture, your headshot. They're going to check you on Facebook and see what's going on there. On Instagram, what's going on there. on TikTok, what's going on there, on YouTube, LinkedIn, what's going on there. So you got to make sure that all of those pages are optimized. All of those pages are speaking the same language. All of those pages are connected in terms of what you're offering as a value proposition to your clients. That's got to be done. Okay. So how do we promote ourselves on the web? Well, social media. Social media, as you guys know, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got LinkedIn, you got YouTube, you got TikTok, right? Pick one or two of these mediums, pick three of these mediums, right? And definitely make sure that whatever you're going to be posting, let's say on your website, whatever you're going to be emailing, make sure it's there as well. If you're sending out a postcard with the just sold message with the property in it, make sure you also update your social media page that has that information in there. If you have a unique selling proposition in your postcard, make sure you have the same social media in your Facebook page and on your website. Okay, but these are the sections or these areas or the platforms that you definitely want to use when it comes to digital farming. Okay, social media, neighborhood groups. What I mean by that is look around. If you're living in subdivision and if you do not have a neighborhood group on Facebook, private group I'm talking about, create one. Create one. Let's say, for example, you're living in Paradise, subdivision, Paradise. We call it a Paradise. Call it Paradise Living. And that group essentially is going to be like next door group, okay, only for Paradise subdivision. Be an admin of that group and promote your services, but also engage in conversations with the other homeowners are saying. So create a group or two when it comes to these subdivisions. If you're part of the subdivision that has a Nextdoor app, make sure you're part of that Nextdoor app as well. Every person that you come in contact with, every person that leaves their information on your website and the landing page, or when you talk to them over the phone, make sure they're in some sort of a database. And then you have an email marketing database where constantly, ideally, on a bi-weekly basis, they're getting something of a value from you. And then, of course, you have to have website landing pages for, again, the unique domain names or the unique website addresses that you're going to be posting on your marketing materials. So all of that has to be done, guys, in addition to print media. So what type of content you want to post? So market update videos, I think, are very important. You can do it for a zip code. You can do it for a specific neighborhood, right? You can do it for the entire Metro Phoenix area. It's completely up to you. But once a month, it should not only go out to the farm neighborhood, but also to your sphere, to your past clients. Like clockwork, you have to post it on your Facebook. You have to post it on your Instagram. You have to post it on your YouTube channel. And you also want to send an email to your entire database through, again, email marketing system. Education videos, once or twice a month. If you don't have a topic or you don't know what to say or what's going on, reach out to Tristan. He's got about 52 weeks of topics that you can share with you guys. And I know some of you guys are utilizing him, so definitely want to do that. Open house tours. Again, if you're holding an open house in your farm, make sure you do a video. Ideally, you want to go live with that and then boost it afterwards to that particular area, to that particular zip code, okay? Listing preview videos once a week. You want to do that, whether it's the listing in that neighborhood or any other listing that you're about to show, or if you're not showing, you're just going out there and checking out listings, make sure you do the listing preview videos. Client testimonials is huge. Every time you close with your client on a deal, pull up your phone and basically say, hey guys, if you don't mind, just share, your experience with me as your agent. And they're going to give you a 1 minute or 2 minute or 30-second, doesn't matter, testimonial about their experience with you. And now you got to repurpose that video by posting it on your social media platforms, on your landing pages. in an email, find out what John and Jessica experienced working with us, right? You send that email to your sphere, your past clients, and your farm, right? And then picks as much as possible, your personal picks, the picks that you're conducting open houses, your client picks when you're selling a house, make sure the client is there standing with a beautiful sold sign with you, share a quick story about their experience with you. Like as much as possible, that has to be done pretty much on a regular basis, guys. That's digital farming right there. Any questions about digital farming? No questions, huh? All right. The next pillar, open houses, right? So open houses, I think, is a big one. That's the next one that we have to take into the consideration, especially when you pick up a listing, right? You wanna quote unquote milk that listing as much as possible, right? So what, for me, the game changer when I started farming in the early stages was, you know what, every listing that I would get, I would prepare it for neighborhood exclusive open house. And basically before it goes live, the day before it goes live, before it's open to the public, I will market and promote it to basically all of the neighbors in the neighborhood, right? I would door knock, my team would door knock, we would send out beautiful invites, right? We'll put out a lot of signs inside of the neighborhood. And we would get anywhere between like 20 or 30 people, like groups. We're talking about groups of people that will show up to our open house, right? And here are the steps of our neighborhood exclusive open houses. This is a game changer for anyone that is doing them. Every time you get a new listing, do a neighborhood exclusive open house, make it fun, make it creative, serve lots of food, lots of beverages. Man, you're gonna get a bunch of people in the door, and I know you're gonna get some really good seller leads out of it, right? So the whole thing about open houses is not only getting those nurtures, but also you showcasing first and foremost your listing, right? You're letting the sellers know, hey, you know what? We're gonna just massively market and promote and expose your listing to as many people as possible, but it starts with your neighbors. Well, you may say, well, your neighbors are really not important or they're looky-loos, but you're absolutely wrong, because neighbors know other people, their friends, their family members that are maybe possibly thinking moving into the neighborhood. So they're gonna be your mouthpiece. They're gonna basically share the story with the friends that they know that are thinking to move into the neighborhood. So exposing the listing, obviously branding and marketing yourself, branding your team, all of the marketing efforts, right? Like we would just put all of the things that we do, right, for our clients in front of all of these individuals, right? And they were like, oh my gosh, you guys do this, you guys do that. I didn't know you guys can do this, right? So that's something, is a great opportunity for you guys. And here's what happens. What happens is the fact that because you're serving food, because you're serving beverages, because it's a different type of a setting or environment, most of the people that walk in, they're not going out. They're going to grab some food. They're going to drink some drinks. They're going to have a good time. They're going to mingle. They're going to share their stories. They're going to share their plans. They're going to give out their information. And out of each of these, you're going to get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 good, solid nurtures out of it that are thinking about listing their house maybe 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that you're building a database of all potential sellers that you already met with, that you develop a rapport with, that already know you, they like you, they trust you, right? So most likely they're not going to be looking for another agent as long as you keep following up with them, as long as they're receiving educational content from you, purposeful content from you, right? Most likely they're going to work with you. So if you really want to gain a big market share in a very short period of time, I'm talking about 12 to 24 months, this is something that you got to do every single time you have a listing coming up. Okay? Any questions about this, guys? All right. Couple of things just to mention. Open houses, we want to make sure that we prepare for those, right? We do our homework. Obviously, we have to know what's going on inside of the house, if there are any upgrades to the house. We got to learn about them. We got to know about the neighborhood, the pluses, the minuses. The more information you have, the better it is, right? You want to ideally look at what has currently under contract, what is currently active, what has closed, what has expired. So again, you become an expert when it comes to that neighborhood. You see this a lot with the homeowners in the neighborhood. They will test you. They will ask you questions. So if you don't know those answers, you're just not going to come off as you educated or know the neighborhood. So the more information you know about the neighborhood, HOA fees, HOA requirements, the streets, like the model, the name of the model homes, right? Like all of that, you got to learn as much as possible, research before you hold one of these open houses, okay? Another thing that really helped us is the fact that we would knock on at least 20 to 30 doors before we start that open house on Thursday at 4 p.m. And we just personally would invite people over, and we get those people all the time. Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're going to stop by in about half an hour to 45 minutes. So that was a huge thing for us. We talked about how do we get traffic, again, preparation. You definitely want to make sure that you have some time to really work on the neighborhood exclusive open house, take professional pictures, obviously ordering the marketing collateral, post invites and house pics on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, post coming soon on MLS, let everybody know that you're going to be holding an open house, email to your database, drop off the invitations on Monday, the week before of the week of the open house. You can circle prospect or door knock the neighborhood and put out 20 to 40 open house inside of the neighborhood. As you can see, there are a lot of steps involved, but I'm telling you guys, if you do this, it will pay off. You will get business out of it. You will get business out of it. Marketing collateral. So the more the merrier. That's really the way I usually operate. The more marketing stuff you have to show, to share, to hand out, the better it is, right? So open house invites, seller checklist, buyer checklist, guides, feedback sheets, property flyers, business cards, client testimonials, any swag that you have, that's great. Pull-up banners, red carpet rollout, balloons, flags. Man, bring everything. The more stuff you got, the better it is for you, right? Again, think about this. This is not just about the listing. This is about you. This is about your brand. This is how you're going to be able to separate yourself from other agents that are farming that neighborhood and basically resorting to a rinky-dinky, half-ass open house on Saturday from 12 to 4 p.m. with 3 signs outside. Sorry, but that's the reality, right? Okay. All right, guys. Any questions before we get to our next one? And all of you guys are awfully quiet.
Just soaking in the information.
Man, I hope you're just writing things down, man. Write things down, man. You can make a lot of money doing this. All right, next pillar, community outreach. That's a big one, okay? We are in a business, obviously, of helping individuals with their real estate needs, but we also have to be kind about giving back, become a resource, especially if you're gonna be farming in your neighborhood, become that resource, become that individual that people will know and ask questions and ask for referrals. And, especially when it comes to the contractors, people, that you constantly working with, you have that information. Be that resource, build long-lasting relationships with the homeowners in the neighborhood. That's definitely a must. Few things that I definitely want to point out to you guys. If you really, truly want to dominate the neighborhood, it's got to be more than just print media, digital media, or open houses. It's got to be also community outreach, right? And you got to do drives like food drives, clothes, toys, school supplies, movie in the park, school events, participate at your school, your kids' school, if you got kids that go to school, church events, garage sales, holiday events, whatever that is neighborhood related where your neighbors are or go to, you got to be participating. And ideally, you want to lead those events, right? You do that, again, you will become de facto real estate professional or expert in your neighborhood. and people will gravitate towards you. They will send business to you. They will talk to other people about you. And that's how you're going to be able to gain the market share and expand your reach in your neighborhood. Okay. So a couple other slides before we wrap this up. Where do you find seller data? Okay. I get this question asked from our agents. Just wanted to kind of share a couple of different data sources that I used in the past. For farming, you can go a couple of different ways. You can do a shotgun approach using the EDDM, every door direct mailers. That's a shotgun approach, right? It goes out to 1,100 homes in that particular neighborhood, right? We don't know who's the seller. We don't really know who owns it, right? It just goes out to every homeowner in that area who lives in that house, right? Or you can go a little bit more intentional or strategical, for example, and use a couple of different data companies that we used in the past. One of them is Get Ivy Data, where you can actually get a specific data or record for about 19 cents a piece. Same thing with the Melissa data. Remind is another one. Actually, you can get Remind from MLS if you subscribe to MLS Pro. They will show you most likely homeowners that are looking to sell their house. So all of them can kind of give you that information. So like, for example, handwritten letters can go out to these homeowners right here. Instead of going out to the entire neighborhood of 1,000, they're just going to go out to about 100 or so, or 75, right? It's going to be a little bit more costly, but based on their analytics, based on their data, you may get maybe better results because they're more ready to sell. There are a couple of other data sources like TLO, EXP, and Cold Data that you can definitely use to gather that data. Mojo Cells also has it. You can utilize them. They're not as accurate as these guys right here. These guys are pretty good. A little bit more expensive, but again, if you want to be kind of be a little bit more specific in your selection of the homeowners in a specific neighborhood and everything like that, these are the companies that you definitely want to explore. Likely to sell homeowners, from my experience sending out letters, I would pick 45 years or older, have at least 50% or greater equity, and then ideally 10 years in a household. How to connect with the homeowners. Again, we talked about emailing systems. You can use MailChimp because you're going to get their email addresses as well if you're going to be buying that data. Texting. There are a couple of different texting tools out there that you can definitely use. One of them is Launch Control. You can use the two different lead gen websites that we use, like Sync, KVCore. We also use High Level. It's connected to Twilio. So you can text the homeowners, specific homeowners that you got from these data sources with your offers. Calling or dropping messages, you can use Mojo. You can hire a VA to do a lot of this stuff for you guys. And we work with several VAs here in the organization, and we can definitely help you to pick one of them so they can work with you. And then, of course, the Facebook ads. All right, just to kind of wrap this up, okay, 5 key steps to build a thriving geofarming business. Again, first and foremost, pick an area you will enjoy selling. That makes sense. Analytics-wise, ideally 5% turnover rate. Number 2, have call to action or USPs on all of your ads. That's print as well as digital. Have at least 6-month budget. Obviously do print, digital, open house, community outreach. They all have to work together with cohesive message. And then number 5, but it should be actually number 1, honestly, is you gotta stay consistent and be very, very, very patient. I cannot stress this enough, guys. The reason it's called farming is because when you farm something, you're not seeing the fruits tomorrow or vegetables tomorrow, right? It takes time, it takes a lot of care, it takes a lot of work, right? But once it's all kind of all together working, you're going to start seeing the fruits of your labor, if you will. You're going to start seeing the results. So it takes time. It may take 2 months, may take 4 months, may take 6 months, may take 8 months. But if you stay consistent, if you stay on message, and if you do all other things, you're going to be able to see really, really, really tremendous results. Okay, that's about it. Any questions before we wrap this up? Okay, that's about it. Any questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, can we get the slide?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we get the slide?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we get the slide?
Alan, I have a question, Adolfo, here. Hello?
Yeah, we're getting an echo. I don't know why. Let me, go ahead.
Oh, so you had a list of systems there where you can find the phone numbers or the information for the potential sellers. I heard that like even contacting the some title company you work with, you can also do that. Like maybe get a hold of their information, or I don't know, maybe skip trace them or whatnot. Is that some of the tools you also shared with there with TRLO or whatever it's called?
Yeah, so definitely the title company will help you with quite a bit, depending on the title company. I know our title company does quite a bit of that. Just really kind of depends. Like for me, when I was doing this stuff right here, guys, I did not use my title company. My title company, in all fairness, was not providing this information to me, right? They just did not have access to it for whatever reason. I would pay for Melissa data. I would pay for Get Ivy data, right?
Okay.
I would pay for Mojo. I would do all of those things because I wanted to get good data. I wanted to get cell phone numbers. I wanted to get working email addresses. I wanted to find out or focus on those homeowners that are thinking of selling, right? And again, it's more work. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think that if you got the right messaging, I think like, for example, the letters work, 2-page offers work in a specific neighborhoods where you're trying to actually purchase these homes or have your investors that are looking to purchase these homes, right? That stuff works. But do your research, talk to the title company as well. They can definitely help you. But like for me, most of the stuff that I was doing, honestly, it was this. Like shotgun approach was something that I have a company. They will do the design. They will do the print every 2 weeks. They'll mail it through EDDM, and I don't have to deal with it. And I would get phone calls. I would get people that would sign up on my landing pages and provide their information. I'll reach out to them, and I would get at least 1 to 2 listings every single month out of it. That's it.
Cool.
I mean, there's no real rocket science behind it.
Yeah, I've heard even people when they research who the name of the owner is, even look them up on social media, maybe message them and see if, maybe you can reach them that way as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can do some homework as far as, researching them on social media, obviously Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, message them. You can do those things, right? You just got to be careful, because obviously, with certain situations, you don't want that homeowner start like blocking you or complaining to the Facebook or any of that stuff. You got to be careful with that piece of it. But I think what you definitely want to focus on is pick a source, if you will, that you want to focus on and just go after it. Just immerse yourself in it, study up, learn as much as possible, and just go after it. Like I really a huge believer, and we have agents that are doing really well right now with the letters, like handwritten envelopes. They stuff letters in there. They're mailing them out. They're getting really good results out of it, right? I know an agent up in Prescott. What she does is she sends 2-page offers to the homeowners, basically offering a $1 above the comps per square foot in that neighborhood. Or in that zip code. And she usually gets phone calls, right? And she either wholesales those deals or she flips those properties, right? Or lists, right? So you can do that as well. So figure out what you guys want to do. If you want to specifically focus on your neighborhood, maybe some other neighborhood. If you want to focus on the investing piece of it or listing piece of it. For me, Most of the time, I was focusing on listings. You know, the areas, the neighborhoods that I was really marketing or promoting, it was not really investment piece of it. It was more listing piece of it. And again, commissions were pretty high, $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 per transaction. So it made sense for me financially to do it more and more. All right, guys, any other questions, thoughts?
Yeah, I got one. Yeah. Do you have any suggestions on farming landlords?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's another option that you can definitely put into your business model is you can get this information, landlord information from, again, this data source right here, this data source, this data source. You can get the landlord information. And again, same thing, sending them mailers, and then also sending them text messages. So, you know, and you're talking about landlords in terms of single family or multi-family, multi-units?
I usually do 4 units and below.
Yeah,
because usually if it's over that, they start having start having like full-time staff and they have property managers. It's too, once you get too big, there's already a real estate agent involved. I'm thinking more like landlords that are just getting in the game, or they just do it all themselves. And then, because a lot of my clientele, I get, like, I either buy or sell. I get some of these older people that are offloading all their rentals, or I'm either buying those off them or I'd like to sell. So I'm just trying to think what would be the best way to farm those guys.
The best way really is to get the list of all the landlords, okay? And then send them handwritten envelopes, letters, okay? I'll let them know that you're willing to pay premium for their house. You're willing to buy it as is. If they have a tenant in that house, you're willing to do that as well, right? Have the tenant in there, you're willing to do that. You will not ask for any repairs. You can close very quickly, okay? And I would send that mailer probably every 30 days to the same people, right? And then I would also follow up with a text message. And then I would take that list and I would actually create custom audience, upload it into the Facebook and run ads with the same message to the same group of people. So not only they're seeing you in the mail, they're also getting your text, and then they're also seeing you on their newsfeed on Facebook.
Gotcha. And you would pretty much try to go after local landlords. Like, so if I was to find the data, it'd basically be like, hey, all the landlords in, like, obviously their properties are not going to be obviously their properties aren't going to be the same areas where they are. So it's one of those, that's what I'm just trying to figure out how I would geolocate specifically landlords. Like, would I just pick a pocket area? You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. I'm trying to. I
would do it the entire Maricopa County, right? And then going with these guys right here, they're smart, right? They will give you their information, knowing the fact that they don't live in that neighborhood, right? They will give you their mailing addresses. Like, for example,
so if I use Melissa data and get Ivy data, they'll basically, if I say people who own rental properties, and they'll say, oh yeah, here's all the people.
Yeah, because if you think about it, right, even when you go to Monsoon, right, you go to Monsoon, the physical address is going to be, let's say, 1234 East Main Street, but their mailing address is 1234 West Maple Street, right? So their mailing address or the billing address is the one that you're going to get to mail to.
So pretty much, and then what you would do is then you would just start a mailing campaign, 30 days, very similar system where it's like, hey, here's the really awesome offer, and yada, 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 either to buy or to sell or to manage. Because I could probably get one of my buddies to, we could co-broke it. Like, I'll give them the property management deals and I'll do the sales or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. the key thing is to remember, again, you want to do it like every 30 days, right? Like we do this a lot. Like we try it, we don't see any results, and we're like, oh, this shit doesn't work. In reality, most of it will work with a little bit of tweaking, but more importantly, with lots of patience, right? Consistency is the key. When it comes to farming, I cannot stress this enough, guys. Farming, it's all about consistency. It's all about patience. It has to be that. You cannot expect results right away. Now, you get lucky sometimes. You get people that call you right away and everything like that. That's perfect. That's awesome. Congratulations. But the reality of the matter is it will take months before you start actually getting any type of attraction. And you got to do all of those things, by the way. You got to do print media. You got to do digital media. You got to do community outreach. You got to do open houses. You got to do all of those things. But guess what? You will make good money. And guess what? Now you are controlling your lead source. You're not relying on Facebook ads. You're not relying on Google ads. You're not relying on a third-party company that's generating ads. You're not relying on Zillow, what used to be Zillow, with their ads, or Realtor.com with their ads, where they're constantly jacking up prices. You in control of your lead data. And these are not buyers. These are sellers. Right? And the more you participate, the more you spend in that neighborhood, the more they see your listings. As long as you do a really good job, you're gonna gain more and more and more market share. And that's how you got to look at it. You know, and from that, man, you get buyers, you get more listings. I mean, the sellers that are contacting you for the most part are going to be like, hey, I've been getting your stuff for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Can you come over, take a look at my house? I want to list it. You already pre-sold them. They already know who you are. They've seen your signs. They've seen your stuff. So you don't have to go there and do like a 45-minute to an hour pitch. You're trying to convince them why they should work with you. They already know it. All you got to do is just develop a connection with them where they're there, see in what house, the condition the house is in, and basically sign an agreement. And most likely they will not even going to be like sitting there and negotiating or talking to you or talking down the commission piece of it, because they see the value working with you. So keep that in mind, guys. It's one of the best ways still to this point, to this day, to go out there and get business, get listings. All right? Any other questions? No?
Thanks,
all right, guys.
Adam.
Well, listen, I appreciate all of you. I think you guys are amazing. Look, I mean, 2 hours is not easy, but hopefully the things that I shared with you will bring, more value to you guys, to your business. And hopefully you're going to be able to see the results in generating more listings and closing more deals. If you guys want to get a hold of me, you know how to do that. Feel free to reach out if you have any specific questions, and I'll be more than happy to have that conversation with you. All right, guys?
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Alan.
You got it, buddy.